All right, how's everybody doing? Last webinar for the human design. And I just want to say I ain't gonna say it before I forget, but let me just start this off with I love you, I forgive you, I accept you, and I allow you because you guys are still alive after what's been going on. This has been wild. Like this human resonance, the earth frequency, you guys got to know last year, 2018, I think the highest we were reaching were like 40 hertz as a planet. This year, we have hit like over 70 hertz, like more than twice, I believe. So we are getting bombarded with like fifth dimensional energy and transformational gamma waves. And just to let you guys know the hertz, so the 40 hertz is literally the baseline frequency for the fifth dimension. And it's important to know to understand that, because whenever you hear that 40 hertz thing being pumped out there, is to really get your attention to let you know, like, okay, this is how you know if we're entering the fifth dimension or not. The lower third and fourth dimension, it just does not really exist below 40 hertz. So supposedly during this March spring equinox, we're supposed to be getting hit like this. They keep talking about the cosmic gateway is opening. And during that time, we're literally supposed to get hit with like a more sustained wave, a more sustained like 40 hertz frequency. So the fact that we're all here and we're, making it, it means that your energy is strong enough to kind of soak in these transformative waves. And all of the people that's like awake right now, that's getting this type of information, learning about their higher self, anchoring that in, we're literally going to be the forerunners for, it's not even going to be, we're that now. You're going to be, the forerunners and the people that just the rest of humanity is going to be coming up to look for advice, knowledge. So what I've been learning, what I've been figuring out, pretty much everyone that has joined our school they're like leaders, like I say, in their community, but you start to get this idea of wanting to maybe do a service, like, helping people to understand themselves better or whatever. So definitely use all of the knowledge that you guys are learning in this program to advance yourselves and to maybe start something up yourself to start to get the ball moving on in your reality. As far as just empowerment, self-leadership, even incorporating the human design into your businesses and knowing. Because you're not learning this just so that you can just know this. You're learning this so that you can become a beacon of it. And people are going to ask you, why are you so calm now? Or why do you seem like you got it together now? Why do you're coming up with all these ideas? It's okay to let them know you've done IFS and you've got your human design done, and you kind of know who you are and you've been doing your work. So acknowledging the fact that you guys have been doing the work up until this point is super important, because you have to be it in order to achieve it with this new fifth dimensional frequency. So knowing that you've done the work, you've been climbing the mountain, and you do have a whole lot more awareness than you did before you started off. So acknowledging how you guys are kind of flowing through this program is super important. But I've also been just giving this message to just let you guys know, this is like the transformation school, seriously. And when I mean it, I mean like you go from one reality frequency into the next. This is solely what Michelle and I's job is. This is why we have the portal pyramid in the background. Literally, you guys are walking through the portal into this new frequency, like permanently. And this is what this whole ascension, this whole humanitarian ascension thing is all about. And there's people out there that's not really walking it. So if they decide to stay on the planet, which a lot of people are, then they're gonna get hit with like just crazy burning energy, and that can turn into burning questions and literally like just inboxing you out of nowhere and asking you the weirdest things. And it's gonna be people like us, you know, you guys that's gonna be able to like answer these questions, you know, because you ain't gonna get no weirder than this class. So you know, I just want to you know, ask anyone if they've been going through anything, you know, in particular that was kind of like, you know, crazy or just like high frequency. And I'll give you guys just a quick example. I've been having lucid dreams like crazy, and this is a sign that the veil is like thinning more and more. So it's rapid transformations and rapid change. So it's been crazy as far as the frequency goes, and just how synchronistic things are starting to become. So you know, I just want to see if you guys are okay. So if anybody have anything to say, you can just unmute yourself. And if not, we'll keep it moving.
Dion has something to say.
Phil? Okay.
Dion has something.
Turn our volume up. Hold on 1 second because we can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Better? Okay.
We had the weirdest experience on 333. We went to bed and I thought Philip was asleep and I was just lying there for I don't know how long, and the energies were getting more and more intense, and I finally thought, well, I might as well sit up and go with these. So I sit up in bed and Philip's already sitting in bed. He can't sleep either. And I just sort of followed them in my body, and they were probably the most intense energies I've ever felt.
Whoa.
And they went on for about an hour and a half, and then finally they subsided and we went to sleep. But I've never experienced anything like that before.
It also happened to be the day after we completed a 28-day cleanse of raw fruits and vegetables. So that could have been a factor. First day of coffee or whatever.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you.
Coffee, trust me.
Let me tell you, we just literally did an Iboga ceremony around this time. It was just not too long ago.
Just really briefly, I guess you all know, you would all know that we were supposed to go to Miami. So we were on a timeline where we were going to Miami to see Junior in his first play. And remember that Kayvon is emotionally defined. Yeah. So we were leaving very early in the morning, and Kayvon was really not feeling well and was like, I don't know if we're supposed to go. So because he's emotional, we have to let the wave right out. So we got in the car and drove all the way to Denver, which is like a 90-minute drive. And I'm sort of like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. We get to the parking lot where we're going to leave our car for the week, and Kayvon was like, my head is so heavy, I don't know if I can get on the plane. So I just kind of sat there, and, you know, I really wanted to go. I really wanted to see Junior in this play. My family also lives there. Obviously, Kayvon's family is there. I had been kind of excited about it. A medicine woman that I really respect was doing a ceremony. It wasn't with plant medicine. It was just a healing ceremony. I was paid for it. I was ready to go. And Kayvon was just like, he was doing muscle testing and stuff, and he kept getting no. So he called his mom to tell her that we were not going to go. And she had just had a dream that he had died in Miami. So I was like, yeah, we're not getting on this plane.
Oh, yeah.
So we get home, and Kayvon calls Junior's mom, because I'm his stepmom, obviously. Calls his mom, and she said, oh yeah, so I guess Junior didn't understand he was an understudy, so he's not actually performing. So we like shifted to this timeline, and then I was like, okay, so things just kept falling into place. And then it just so happened that a good friend of ours, who's like kind of like my spiritual mom, she and her partner, their plans fell through. They were supposed to be living somewhere else. It fell through. I had asked them to house sit for us. We came back. We're like, we're not going. And she's like, okay, well, let's do the medicine. So they sat over us for hours. And I don't know the date. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but it was near that corridor. And we did the medicine. So just kind of a public service announcement about the importance of following your inner authority, but also, just also validating what you're experiencing. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of quickening, and we've definitely been noticing just a lot of extra fatigue and sensitivity around things.
Yes. And it's so wild, it's crazy, like you say, my mom called me, when I called her, she said I had a dream about me dying in Miami. And then also within that same dream, I was about to go fishing for her, and I was going to bring her back like 2 fish. So a lot of times, I know, especially in my family, a lot of the women, a certain woman in the family would, whenever a child is about to become born, they would have a dream about a fish. And it was so deep. It was so deep that that she was having this dream about me dying, and then right after that, she was having a dream about me bringing her a fish. So it was like death and rebirth, like all within the same thing. So that's pretty wild, that as soon as I woke up that morning, as soon as I woke up, literally, I had this crazy stomach ache. And then it felt as if I was like I just was getting sick out of nowhere. So as far as following your strategy and authority, what I'm starting to really learn, is especially being emotional, is so important to pay attention to how we feel. But when we get those no's, like when it's like a no, like a strong no, it's almost as if the no's, you don't really have to ride the wave too much, because even though I was in the car driving to the airport, I knew like it just wasn't going to change. And it was so weird because I was in like deathly pain, right? It was like, no, dragging me down, higher self dragging me back. And as I still let myself go on the wave, right, just as we go, it actually started to lighten up. And I felt myself going from that crazy negative space to a much lighter space. But when I got to the lighter space, it still was like, no. So, it was just pretty deep, to kind of go through that. But yeah, death would have happened, huh? So, we don't know if it was a transformation.
That's the challenge with these situations. When your authority says no, you really want to test it? Like, we'll never be able to prove what would happen if we got on the plane, but I was not trying to find out.
Yeah. And also my hometown, in Miami, just especially where I grew up at, it is not the most positive environment. So, it is just like, I can feel it. I can feel the denseness. And I've like lightened up my energy so much to where it would be definitely more of a detriment if I was to kind of venture down there, as opposed to, just kind of being away and kind of letting the place transform, letting it transform like it should before. I feel like it's something going down in Miami, in that area, that's transforming, and I can't be there while it's doing it. So, yeah, it's been wildness. And as far as staying up all night, and I think I did Catherine. Catherine, we did our session. on 333. And
so that was
hold on,
2
let me
days.
unmute.
So we did the medicine on 3/1 then.
We did the medicine on 3/1.
Yeah, because remember
Okay,
you had to
let me
reschedule with Chris. She's probably doing
I'm trying to unmute. Oh.
You guys are both doing it.
Yes, we did our session on that day, and it was pretty intense, the energy. It felt good. It was fun.
Yeah. It was yeah, I remember that. And when we were doing it, the energy was you was buzzy. When we started the session, it was super buzzy.
Yes, very. And it is
Yeah.
right now too. I'm feeling super buzzy.
Yes, and just to let you all know, that 333, that was that opening. That was like the three energy. Remember, it's the energy of manifestation. It's also the energy of the scientist. It's trial and error. It's the energy of life. So, but the fact that it was in the 333, it was more so in the Trinity. It was locked in a triangle. So it brings stability when it comes to living life and manifesting our dreams. This 333 was all about manifesting our dreams. Like, this is the gateway that's open, and there's no other way to live. We don't have to live no other way other than the way based on what we are dreaming. That's what that's entailing. And as we get hit with the waves, so as the heat, a lot of us, especially if you feel intense heat, so the intense heat that we're feeling, you can imagine it. What it's doing is literally burning away the old carbon-based cells. And what is burning away, you can see it like, if you can imagine like a brown rock. And then you got a heat wave that's coming in, and it's melting and changing the energy into a crystal. To, like, say, a purple crystal is underneath. So we're literally, what's happening is we're being kind of exposed. Our crystalline self is starting to come out. And the human design is kind of like showing you, like, okay, you're going to be this type of crystal. You're going to be that type of crystal. The generator, the manifestor, or the projector. So we're literally turning into crystals. And you have to kind of purify the vessel. Crystals are supremely purified objects. So we're going through purification, and the high frequency is like akin to fire in the body. So this is why we have to drink a whole lot of water during this time.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
So you're telling me that I'm not having hormonal hot flashes? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, I'm totally telling you, you're not having hormonal hot flashes. This is like straight up, like, gamma wave energy you getting hit with, and it is transforming your cells, and it goes through it, and it hits you in waves, and it's like heat waves. Because I know I'm not going through no, man, like, I know I'm not there. So, and I've been noticing it for a while now.
Well, actually, because I haven't had a menstrual cycle in a while, so some of it is hormonal. However, I'm also having what I describe, how you get chills when you have a fever, but I don't have a fever, and I have those kind of like those chills go through my body.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past I've been, oh, I don't like that, but now I'm kind of like, ooh, like I kind of like how that energy feels. It's interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, imagine like your crystalline self is starting to emerge, and before it would feel like kind of icky or whatever it would feel, but now you're literally starting to touch into yourself. And the more and more you start to, like, connect to your crystalline self, that self is in bliss. That self it's so different than this body that we're in right now. It's a lot lighter, and you just feel, because it's a lot lighter, you don't feel as if you have so much stuff to do, or you don't have so much energy on your back. But yeah, this is real. Like, flu-like symptoms, but not really having the flu. I know exactly what you're talking about. This whole last week, I literally been having, I can still kind of feel it in here. My throat, with me, it's been I've been having, it feel like my throat has been clogged up. So it's like clearing up my throat and my sinuses. Been kind of just weird. So I can feel, but I can feel like, and it was weird. I was feeling like as if I was trying to have the flu or something similar to that, but it wouldn't like catch on, but it was there, but I was still normal. It was weird. And that's just now starting to flow away. Like it's starting to like even out. So the fact that you didn't get sick, right, or we didn't go all the way down with it, is letting you know how strong you are as far as your transformation goes. Some people are like literally dying right now. They cannot take the heat. Some people are having like, super duper crazy pain. And the fact that we can just sit around and just be up all night, right, just keeping us up and the energy just flooding us, but we just lay down and go to sleep, and we can. This is. You have been doing work. Most people are getting tore up right now about this. So, congratulations for making it, everybody, for making it this far. So
does anybody else have anything they want to share before we kind of go into the human design?
Oh, Raquel. Oh, that's Raquel with the Salt
and
Spring.
Raquel just wanted to let everybody know that Salt Spring Center of Yoga is actually Raquel, just so you guys know.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome. So one of the things I wanted to start with, just because it came up in the Facebook group and I don't want to forget about it as we go into all the other questions, is the issue of left angle and right angle incarnation. And just want to say a little bit about what that does. They're really as different as masculine and feminine. This is very different setups that you're born into, different kind of tracks that you're on. So for right angles, you're here for self-development. Now, for any of you who caught our lecture in Margarita, the lovely Margarita, I don't think she's here with us. She hosted that Sacred Sexuality Summit, and we did a presentation about human design and what it can show us about our authentic sexuality. Well, one of the things that came up is not only are there different energetic streams with different kind of themes and focuses on the sexual energy side of the chart, but on the caring side of the chart, which is the splenic side, there's also different streams and themes. Thank you, Kelly. For caring, different types of caring. Mainly tribal, individual, and collective. So these, if you have activations or full channels in any of those streams, you're going to tend to be focused and caring about tribal themes or individual themes or collective or a combination. Most of us have a combination of each. Some people are much more extreme. Everybody's unique. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that you could be a right angle with a lot of collective activations and care a lot about what's happening in the collective, but you're still working in the context of self-development and like basically refining your personal skills. And it's a destiny path. So destiny means it's a little bit more set in stone, actually a lot more set in stone. By contrast, left angles, we are here to clear transpersonal karma. So the focus is not so much self-development, it's the clearing of karma that's just beyond the personal self. And this life path is not set in stone the same way the destiny path is. No, it's not that destiny paths can't change or jump timelines or get moved around. You can't wake up or not wake up, or it has nothing to do with that. It's more just sort of a track and a theme that you're on. And those of us who are left angles, we actually, our lives can be super impacted and super changed by our interactions with other people. With right angles, you can get impacted by a left angle who can switch your life and switch like the pathway of your destiny. But left angles, we don't have a destiny to begin with. So we're like walking on this karmic tightrope that's kind of determining our path. And the overarching theme is really this purpose of clearing the karma. And some of this karma is good and some of it is bad, right? So you can have a lot of good karma as a left angle, and you can also be here inevitably clearing funky stuff. Like, let's say you have an issue, you're going to be clearing it for all the women in your family or all the people in your religious group or all your nation or whatever your group is, whatever collective group you're a part of. So these are very different paths, and then there's this very small percentage of people who are on the juxtaposition crosses, which is a fated path, which is the most fixed, very fixed path. And it's actually kind of a combination of the left angle and the right angle. And the only people who have this are the 4-1s.
Yep.
So they're very rare.
Meaning, like, they can't. Yeah, it's just like whatever their fate is, it's just what it is. And it's so it sounds so like crazy, right? It's like, oh, this is your fate. But one of the I think one of the crosses, it was Pops. He's a 4-1, and he had the juxtaposition cross of the bargains.
The bargain, yeah.
Yeah, the bargains.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like a weird thing. Like his fate was to forever. It's like his fate is to forever like be cheap and like look for discounts.
But and he is the thrift store king.
This dude is the thrift store king. He can find stuff on the side of the road. Yeah. Like it's like the universe is just bargaining with him the whole time. It's like just making sure he has everything that he needs, just no matter what is going on. So he has like this on his path, no matter what he does, like he's always gonna have these materials. You know, even if it has to come at a bargain, you know, it'll always somehow flow into his possession. So he can live a non-worried life when he understands fully about what his cross is. And so just to piggyback more on this incarnation cross, the incarnation cross, it literally comes into activation in your life when you start to follow your strategy and authority. It until you start to follow it, then you'll start to literally start to live the incarnation cross. The incarnation crosses are our missions in life. This is the reason why we came here, via either destiny or to help clear out karma or to kind of walk this specific path. So the more and more you follow that strategy and authority, the more and more you're going to start flowing into your incarnation cross. So, for example, mine is the right angle cross of the unexpected. And almost every time people speak with me, you notice I'm going to give you something unexpected. It's not scripted. None of my webinars are, well, except for when I was really having to teach it one by one. But they're rarely, they're rarely scripted. It's totally unexpected knowledge and information coming in, even during my sessions. You know, it's unexpected knowledge and stuff coming in. And because I'm open and I'm following my strategy, it's always unexpectedly good. Because your mission, it brings you into joy and delight. So we all have to remember the game that we're playing is joy and delight. That's it. Everything is literally, we're trying to get to constant joy and delight. Now, on the way to joy and delight, you learn a whole lot of life lessons. You have to clear out a whole lot of crazy, dark, funky energy. But at the end of the day, you do reach joy and delight. And you're going to be getting kind of pulse with it as you grow. So following your human design, just to give you guys a timeline, at the 3.5-year mark of following your strategy, everyone goes uphill. Meaning so crazy when I say uphill. Downhill, but your life goes up. Meaning life starts to get easier and easier. The flow starts to get better and better. And at the 3.5-year mark, it's kind of like something switches. It's just a switch goes off within your body and you just start to climb. you just start to climb. So this is a path that, you know, you can't really mess it up. Like, you guys are already on the train. So you just have to be patient. And now when I give it a time frame, 3.5 years, we're moving into the fifth dimensional energy. So you have to take that with a like grain of salt when I give it the time. It's kind of because it can pop in on you and you can get like these flashes of like really being like feeling like you're there already. So that's the difference between human design readings like in the 90s and early 2000s than it is to the human design readings now. We have the time barriers kind of like fumbled up. So it's supposed to take around 7 years for all of this stuff to kind of materialize and to work in ourselves, but we're getting hit up now. Like, it's like we're in the quickening phase because humanity and everything is kind of moving super fast. So it's kind of as if time is moving supremely fast. So, you know, expect your life to start improving now. Expect things to start to like flow your way now. And having that expectation that's a proper one. I don't like to expect things from people, but I totally expect things from my higher self. Like, I expect for me, if I'm gonna follow a strategy and authority, then I expect a certain outcome, meaning I expect to be in a certain flow. So you can expect to be in that flow of your higher self if you know you're actually following your strategy and authority.
Even if it doesn't make sense to your mind.
Yes.
And just one more note, like with the right angle and left angle. So right angles are meant to kind of go deep in the self-development, but that doesn't mean like your self-development can easily help the collective. Einstein was a right angle, right? The left angles, we're kind of like the researchers that go in and research what all the right angles are doing, and then we combine it into sort of a universalizable format. So like Ra Uru was a 5-1. He wasn't, who downloaded the human design. He wasn't so much focused on developing his skill. He was here basically as this ambassador of this knowledge for the collective. Mark Zuckerberg, he's a 6-3, left angle. Collective, karmic stuff, bigger groups. The left angles, we're often going to feel the need to be doing things on bigger scales, and that's okay for us. And the challenge is like, how do you manage? You still have to develop yourself as a human being. You don't get off the hook with that, but it's like that. It's just the foreground and background are different. So right angles can make huge contributions to the collective, but they do it through developing their specialty. Whereas the left angles are sort of coming in, we'd interview everybody who specializes in, say, human design, and then come up with a presentation or something that can be clear for the whole collective, or that's universal. And then, of course, the juxtaposition cross people, they're just on a fixed fate, and that's what it is. And fate, you know, can have this sort of negative connotation as well. It's not negative, though, because remember that we put our hands up for all of this before we incarnated. Like, we agreed to these things. And I just also want to mention that for your graduation gifts, we will be sending you a printout about your incarnation cross. So you'll be getting more details that apply just to your cross in the future. So that's a little surprise that will be no longer a surprise, but still exciting. When you read it, the book that we're getting it from is written by Chetan. I can never say his name right, but his writing is exquisite and it's so clear and it's gonna hit you like on the body level. And it was really interesting sending him out to last year's graduating class because as I read through them, I don't read them till the end. I know what people's crosses are, but I don't read the details. And I was like, gosh, I've been watching this person play this out for the last 6 months, you know? So those will be coming. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in the group that needed to be addressed. But
I was just saying, Kelly was saying she's a left angle cross separation, and the the information changed her life. Yeah, yeah, it totally is. Totally. And even just to let you guys know, when you read the Incarnation Cross, it is what it sounds like. It's exactly what it sounds like. Like that left angle cross of separation, you're dealing with separation. Like in whatever form that it shows up in, whether it's being separated from your family, whether it's being separated, being a part of a group, and then having to separate.
So that's actually what it was. So the left angle cross of separation, it's important for them to create their own systems and create their own way of doing things. And I was trying to be plugged into somebody else's system, and I couldn't figure out why it felt so shitty to me. Right. And when I found out what my, the definition of my incarnation cross, I was like, okay, it all makes sense. Like, I have to do it my way.
Yeah.
And that led to my separation from the community that I was involved with.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So the left angle, because you did that, you sent out a wave of correction, meaning all of the people that's joining these groups and these cult type situations, whatever it is, all of the people that feel like you, that actually really you joined it so that you can kind of know how to run it, so that you can see the inner workings of it, so that you can know how to kind of operate it yourself. But for all of the people that's going through that's in those programs and they feel stuck, you just kind of sent out like a life raft for them. And that's what the left angle does. When you clear it, it clears for the whole entire collective. And because you're a 5-1, the 5 is connected to the collective. So that energy goes out as that wave. And now a bunch of people will have like this kind of impulse to like, okay, it's safe for me to like exit this. It's okay for me to separate and to kind of go on my own and do my own thing. That's the power of the left angle. This is how the collective transforms, like on a big time level. The left angle crosses are clearing out major collective karma, because it's a bunch of people that join into those programs that cannot get out.
Yeah.
They just don't have the energy or the knowledge or the confidence.
Yeah, like for example, I'm on the left angle cross of healing. And I didn't find that out till 6 years ago, but I've been studying since I was a teenager. So, and I'm 44 now, so a long time of studying healing arts all over the world. And it was definitely a theme, and that was even before I was clear about my strategy and authority. It's like I couldn't get away from it. And even younger than that, people were always coming to me with their wounding and needing to talk. And so, yeah, Kelly's posting a link in the chat from Love Your Human Design, and it's Incarnation Cross.
So when you look up your Incarnation Cross, you have to make sure that when you look it up, that the numbers are in the correct order. Because there can be several definitions for like left angle cross of separation, but if the numbers aren't in the correct order, you're not looking at the correct one. So you'll see when you go on there.
And also just know I have this information for you guys anyway. So it's just a matter of you getting it when I was feeling like you was ready to receive it.
Kayvon tries to, and I mean, when Kayvon says stuff like that, it's a fine line we're walking here, because obviously this is a school, so there's going to be a lot of mental learning, a lot of mental stimulation. But Kayvon is kind of wanting to pace things so that you're focusing on the correct thing first, the foundation, which is strategy and authority, before you get all the mental cotton candy, which is also very helpful. And obviously everyone's going to be curious, and we love that. That's wonderful. Just always with human design, we got to stress, unless you're following strategy and authority, none of this information is going to be useful anyway. So in order to align with it, we got to start with that foundational thing.
Yeah, like you'll know it, but then it won't be, it'll line up, but then it's just, you won't be able to utilize it. Like now my right angle cross of the unexpected, it's like unexpected is, like I say, it's always unexpected amazingness. So once you cross a certain corner in your practice, because remember, this is a practice. This is an actual practice. So this is not just us leaving it in our heads. We follow it. We practice it every day. So the more and more you practice it, the more and more it's going to start to literally. So for example, Raquel, I believe you said you had she said she has the left angle cross of confirmation. Confrontation. So just even so the first level of that confrontation is how it sounds. Like this is being confronted. This is fights. This is whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, this is dealing with that energy of confrontation, but also being able to, but the positive side, so when you start following your strategy and authority, you start to flip it into a positive aspect and you confront things that are not working. You're not afraid. You get this crazy courage. This cross deals with courage. It's building up your inner strength, being able to confront your demons, being able to confront yourself. So it goes deep, and the more and more you follow that strategy and authority, the more and more you start to confront things on a much lighter level, meaning all of your confrontations, like I say, you just start to get braver, stronger. And it's literally you can take on anything. And people that are around you, they will feel the most safest because no matter what life has to offer or is throwing at you, this confrontational energy, it will be able to deal with it because it can handle confrontation. So you're going to be getting hit with confrontation before you master this. It's going to not be pretty.
It's just helpful to remember, though, that no matter what the challenge of your incarnation cross, you're designed for it. So
Yes.
You won't fail, you
Yes.
know. And that doesn't mean it's easy. Nobody has an easy human design. Nobody has an easy incarnation cross. Embodiment is hard, y'all. It's just a challenge, where there's these limitless beings in a flesh suit. But the beauty of this dense reality is that we can't, there's ways we can kind of ignore stuff, but we're here to confront and work with things that in other realms, it's not as concrete. So the lessons are different. Here, everything's dense and things fall out and they kind of get stuck in the material realm. So we have to look at what we've created. We're not just snapping our fingers and erasing the scene. And the beauty of that is, just the sobriety and the recognition of, what's real and what's important. But just remember, whatever your cross, you're designed to do that. So there's no need to fear any of this.
Yeah, and just a little quick, since I might as well do one more with Loretta, because she was talking about the juxtaposition. She got the juxtaposition of innocence. I've said the word innocence over the last week 50 times.
And that's my motivation.
So, yeah, innocence.
Yeah, we've been talking.
It is what it is. Literally. You're the being where you're supposed to do things without motivation.
Without desire.
Learning how to live life without desire. And this is living life on pure trust. Innocently, walking down the street. So when you're walking down the street, you're skipping down the street. You're basking in, you're supremely present. This is the cross of presence. This is about being supremely present in your reality.
And also in integrity. Remember we had that whole talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
because, so I don't know, this is a little bit more advanced, so don't worry if Kayvon hasn't talked to you about it, but some of you may have talked to Kayvon about your motivation. I don't know if you get into that. Okay, so this is a more advanced reading, but everybody has motivations. For example, Kayvon's motivation is guilt. My motivation is innocence. So let me tell you the crazy situation that set up with us, because when I want Kayvon to help me with something, I'm supposed to give him a guilt trip. I have a huge aversion to giving guilt trips. I don't want to be guilt tripped. They don't really work on me, and I don't have the interest in doing that to another person. But that's his freaking motivation. My motivation is innocence. So for years, I was approaching Kayvon to help me with things as if that were his motivation. So I didn't guilt trip him. I didn't do any of that. And there was like no response, no connection. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? So finally, when he's, we started talking about this more, he's like, yeah, guilt. And I'm like, well, tell me more about what that means. He says, well, I'm motivated to do things so I don't feel guilty for not doing them, or vice versa. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But my motivation is so different. It's really a challenge for me to shift into that. And Larita, you may notice, like with innocence as a theme, like if you can just get really centered and really authentic and really connect with your higher self, that's going to give you clarity of how to proceed. If you're feeling lots of desires or mental stuff or like yearning or coveting things, that's not you. That's a false reality for you. Some people are motivated by desire. Some people are motivated by hope. Crazy, right? For Kayvon, hope is the not self. It's his total opposite of what he's supposed to be doing. Whereas Kayvon's son is supposed to be motivated by hope.
Yeah,
wild, right?
And you'll notice I pretty much almost never use the word hope. I don't hope anything. I never use the word hope.
Well, and it's interesting because the Buddha was saying hope is futile, because hope is like implying there's some different reality in the future, and the hope takes you out of just being here now and facing what's here now. But maybe the Buddha was motivated by innocence. And see how we've homogenized the Buddha's practices to tell everybody, oh, hope is a falsity. You shouldn't cling to hope. But there's some people who operate on hope.
Totally operate on hope. And I can see it in them, and it doesn't have a detriment in their reality. In my reality, if I start hoping, oh, I hope you guys learn this information. I hope you guys do your thing. Nope, I cannot hope you do anything. This is why I'm speak more. That's why I'm super direct. I try to be like this is what makes me more direct, because I'm not hoping you do anything. I'm like intending. I'm intending for you guys to like expand. I'm not hoping that you expand at all. I know you are expanding. So it changes. If I get into hope, then it's like, am I good enough for me? This is how hope makes me, it makes me second guess myself. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have to hope. We shouldn't have to hope if we can maintain an image in our mind, because this is the rules. If you can maintain the image in your mind for a certain amount of time, and then you can attach your feelings into this image, meaning you can feel what you're imagining. That's it. There is no hope. That is the actual formula to formalize things into the reality.
And yet, Junior, Kayvon's son, is an emotional manifester.
Total hope.
He manifests through hope. The way he visualizes and sees things. And let me tell you, I was out driving in the car with him one day, and I had a bunch of stuff to drop off at Goodwill. And he said, oh, I would like to go to Five Guys to get a cheeseburger. And I was like, and he spoke it out. And I said to him, okay, let me drop this stuff off first so we can get it out of the car, and then I'll find one. As I'm turning into the big mall where the Goodwill is, there's a Five Guys next to the Goodwill.
That just appeared.
He just created it because he hoped that he could go to Five Guys. So you see, we got to be, this thing is like, the individuality, it's so refined and detailed. So Larita, I'm glad you say that it resonates. She says, no wonder I feel like I always need to drop my desires if I really wanted something. Wow. Yes. So your integrity is like very centered in the now. It's not a lot of desiring stuff outside of you. It's just a different kind of flow. And it sounds like you really have already felt that. So this is just your validation, confirmation.
So just to let you know, the more innocent you behave, meaning the less desires you have, the more attractive you look. The more, so like, for example, you posted a picture of you was walking down something with your dog, I believe, and it was like this crazy, amazing thing. Like, I can tell you wasn't like, oh, let me post this so everybody in the world can like love me up and everything. But just your innocent little post, it was like powerful. It was like, oh my goodness, like she's on the path of like, where is she going? It was like you was on a path to Nirvana or something. Because it's like that, we were watching innocence. Like that was like you were just being you, and it looked like you was just walking down a yellow brick road and making it. So when you are you, when you are just genuinely, authentically you, loving the things you love, you know, being attracted to the things you're attracted to, not wanting it, but just filling it out, you know, taking it day by day, moment by moment, staying present, asking yourself, how do you feel? When we ask ourselves, how do we feel? It always brings us to our present moment. You know, that's the little trick. That's the little cheat code. Okay. All right. And moving right along.
Any other questions? Anything that came up for you guys? Anything about your own chart or human design in general?
We're supposed to be talking about relationships, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the last two were about. Yeah. So any question about the human design and relationships? I'm hoping everybody's seen all the videos.
Oh, yeah. By the way, also, I don't think I didn't post it in this group. I found some information about a friend of ours. She posted up this information about the human design gates and crystals. So I have this PDF.
We could send it via email.
Yeah. Well, I can just post it in the group and you guys can just probably download it from the group. But literally for every gate that we have in the human design, there is a crystal associated to it. So that was like just some little exciting new, I'm a crystal nerd, as you can see. So that was just amazing for me to realize. And, you know, I do all this crafting stuff. So I can like really fine tune like these little pieces that I'm making for people, because I can like literally add your crystal, like based on your human design, I can kind of craft it towards who you are.
Okay, mine has gate 3 activated and gate 3 is copper. He's covered in copper. Copper pyramid, everything. He works with copper, all his creations. I mean, it's just hilarious. And I don't mind copper, but I don't have gate 3, and it so happens I'm not drawn to it like Kayvon. I like it, but I'm not like, oh, I've got to have copper on me all the time.
And as a matter of fact, Michelle has gate 13, and gate 13, I believe, is aquamarine. And another gate we have together is 46. So if you have 46 in your human, I'm just going off of what I can remember, but gate 46 is ruby. So if you have gate 46 in your human design, some of y'all do. I know Mignon definitely has gate 46. Catherine has 46. Yep, I think a bunch of us have 46. And yeah, totally. I knew Kelly. I can't even see you, and I knew when I said that crystal thing, you was like, ah! Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna. Let me see something real fast, y'all. Hold on.
Mignon has a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mignon, while he's looking through this.
We can
hear you.
Well, I really have two questions. The first one is about work. I've been using the human design a little bit with my clients. And I have a question about narcissism. My experience in dealing with narcissists is that they really do not have the capacity for self-introspection. And it's really hard for them to grow in therapy or counseling or anything. And I'm wondering how this applies to human design.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually remember hearing somebody speak about this. There's one kind of human design YouTuber who's fairly prominent who was talking about this, and also specifically about psychopathy and human design. And I know your name, Philip Cope, was in the lecture we gave in Margarita's Summit, but I'm not sure if you were there with Philip or if it was just Philip.
Yeah, I was there until I had a session.
Okay, so then I'll just summarize. Yeah, so one of the things going on with human design is, on the splenic side of the chart, we have all of our caring and we have logic. On the solar plexus emotional side of the chart, so as you're facing the chart, the right side, we have like the sexual energy and the emotional energy. That's the hot side. And then the splenic side, which is all the logic, is the cool side. And one of the things that can happen is that you can have someone who's has a lot of activations on the splenic side, so they'll be very logical, and it can be very cold, even though that's the caring side, ironically. But the logic is about, it's about using logic to survive. It's about developing intelligence to survive, the left side of the chart. So it can happen that somebody has a lot of stuff going on the left side and very few activations on the right side. There's also certain activations and lines that can make people a little less empathetic at times, or very sensitive, or not sensitive, insensitive. So there can be lots of particular things going on, and it would, we could do a whole lecture just on, the possibility for narcissism or psychopathy based on, design.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Love.
Yeah. Also, I'm wondering how much of the one energy that they have in their charts, because so a lot of the narcissistic energies on the planet are their energy is always mixed in with the one, and the reason why, literally, like you say, it's like it's not even that they don't have a capacity to see inside of themselves. They only see themselves. Like, literally, it's like the world revolves around them. Everything is about them. Everything they're affected by everything. So these people are actually extremely sensitive, but because of the oneness within them, it is not.
Sorry, guys.
How about that?
Is it still recording?
Yeah, it's still
That's the
recording.
question. Okay. Yeah. So.
All right. So you guys can hear me.
Yeah. So we were talking about the one. This is also points of view. So it's not wrong for the one to be like this. And I know about this because I have a one brain. I was raised by a woman who's a 5-1 and my brother's a 1-3. So remember, the one is like the first iteration out of source. So the one being introspective and self-focused, that's their way of being source-focused.
Yes.
And it's just a different orientation.
They literally feel as if, like, the more attention that they focus on themselves, the more perfect that they can become within, like, they can make themselves, and how bright they feel as if that is showing you guys that this is how close to source that they are. These people are trying to actually mimic what it feels like to be in source energy, which is pretty much perfect. So a lot of 5-1s, Kelly put she's a 5-1. A lot of 5-1s get hit with the narcissistic bug or the narcissistic energy, because the one makes you introvert into yourself. So it's almost like you get an unfair diagnosis because no one has taught you how to walk as that introverted being.
Right.
You know,
to balance it out.
To balance it out. So you're supposed to shine, you're supposed to be bright, but it's not supposed to be to the detriment of others. You're not supposed to, you can care about other people. The ones they have to get taught. The narcissistic people have to get taught that they are connected to all beings, and all the correction that they go through on the inside, it equates to the correction that they'll be applying on the outside. Yeah. So these people, they can't really get away from it. They can't ever get away from being into themselves, because if they do, then it'll kind of take away from their shine. And a certain aspect of that energy, it has to be shiny, or else it won't be true. It's like they're on permanent Leo status. Mm-hmm. But you have to learn how to balance that fire. So we have to show them, this is why they feel as if they want, if you know the most narcissistic people, they want the most compassion. Not saying you're a narcissistic, Kelly, but most narcissistic people, they can't understand why they don't have the compassion. It's weird to them that they don't have that compassion, because they feel as if they're doing their best to be like Source.
And also, the one is building the foundation, and it's incredibly detail oriented. So the one energy, it easily gets overwhelmed, and so it will shut down to regroup and focus on itself. But remember, we need somebody to focus on the details, right?
And the details of ourself.
Yeah.
If we don't have people that's actually making sure, looking in the mirror, making sure they look good, making sure that their voice is nice and sweet and strong and confident, and we don't have that, then we lose that in our society. We lose that edge, and we become more docile. So it's a very fiery energy, this energy is. So, with fire, it can burn people, and this is why everybody's been getting burned and getting rubbed the wrong way about this. I've been hearing about this narcissistic energy ever since I've been with Michelle, actually. It's been because Michelle has that one brain, so her energy is gonna be a lot of that one energy around, and then both of us have 5 parents. So the 5, so Kelly, just so the 5 and the 1s are the ones that get called the narcissist.
Yeah, because remember, the 5 is the seducer. So think about it. The 5 has to deliver a heretical message. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's easier to deliver a heretical message if you look like a bum? Or is it easier to deliver a heretical message if you look very polished, you've got your stuff together, you're well-dressed, you're presentable?
Seeming a bit narcissistic.
Yeah.
Because people won't listen. They will not even take you serious if you don't present yourself a certain way. So this is the energy of the messenger.
Say that again?
Right. It's a characteristic of a narcissist. They say things with such conviction, and they look the part, and a lot of times they don't have a clue what they're talking about. People believe them, like Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just, okay, go ahead. No.
Oh, yeah, and Trump personality is a 1.
Yeah, he's a 1-3. He's emotionally defined, and somebody needs to just take him aside and be like, hey, maybe don't say stuff in the moment. Give yourself some time to feel it through, bro.
Yeah, because and what I've noticed is it's mainly the 1 personalities who get hit with the narcissistic bug the hardest. Because it's in the front. It's like the 1, when the 1 is in the front of your design, 1-3, 1-4, it is not easy. It is not easy to see anything else other than what is going on inside of your system. It's just not easy for them.
In my experience, though, people with the 1 in the front, they can kind of grasp this. 5 1s with the 1 in the back, 4 1s, sometimes it's harder for them to see the 1 energy because it's unconscious. So like Kelly said, when she was a senior in high school, she got voted class ego and was so confused about it then. She said, I really stayed to myself a lot and was focused on myself. So with the 5-1s, your personality is the 5. So you relate to this 5 who, yeah, they're seductive and it can be very narcissistic and being so polished, but the 5 is also universal. So it kind of automatically gets pulled out of itself because it's in the projection field. So it's dealing in relationship. The 1 is not in the projection field. It's dealing in introversion. So like my brother's a 1-3, and I remember him years ago. He's like, yeah, this is before we ever heard of human design. He's like, yeah, I'm selfish, and that is how I am, and that's how I am. But he's married with 2 children, and he's caring for them and takes care of his family and his tribe and all that. But it's a certain orientation, and none of these are better or worse. And I also just want to add, though, there's lots of 1s who come in our program and they are the healthy version of the narcissist. Anybody who's coming into this program with the 1 energy, you're not a pathological negative narcissist, because if you were, like Mignon is saying, you wouldn't have the strength to look at yourself. So there's a healthy narcissism, which I feel like there should almost be a different word. There's a healthy, self-focused energy. And the narcissism maybe would be the word to use for the people who are unhealthy. Like we know lots of 5-1s, they have a really hard time. They don't know how to ask for help. They want to be seen as the superhero. They want to bitch and moan about how they're superheroes and no one will help them. And then when you try to help them, it's like they don't want to go there. They're not ready. Yeah. They're used to projecting outward. And when it's like, oh, guess what? The projection is going 2 ways with the 5. So there's the unhealthy thing that I don't want to diminish by saying, oh, that's just their design, because nobody's designed to be unhealthy. Nobody's designed to be like evilly cruel, even though there is an activation for the killer. But that's like the one who kills the meat for the tribe.
Yeah, it's like
Yvonne has that, by the way.
It's like an honorable thing. Sometimes you might have to go out there and
lay down the law.
Lay down the law. You might have to go, like back in the days they had the buffalo. We had the arrows, and then you might have to go take that buffalo life. But it's providing life force for the tribe and things like that. So that's where that is. But
yeah. Mignon, is that helpful?
Yes, that is helpful, especially when you said how needed they are in the collective, because I mean they're the unhealthy ones. They're really tough.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely it's pain driven. And it's that super sensitivity. I mean, the sensitivity of the 1 is real. And this is what I cherish so much about human design, is that it's a confirmation and validation of this, so that 1s can get this message, hey, you are extra sensitive. That's not your imagination, and it's okay. You do need to take things slowly, and it's okay. And sometimes you might need to separate and go in your introversion and focus on yourself, because you have a job to do, and that's laying down the detailed foundation, and so you're not a 4 unless you're a 4-1 or a 1-4. The 4 is out there, schmoozing with everybody, networking, blah, blah, blah. That's the 4's job. Now, if you happen to be a 1-4 or 4-1, you got to toggle between both. But it's okay to be a 1 and be this introvert and go into your cave on a periodic basis. It's not because there's something wrong with you. So I've seen coaches. There was a healer I worked with who told me that I spend too much time alone meditating. What nonsense! He said, well, that's how people go crazy. No, this is how I stop from going crazy. But because I do that so-called narcissistic self-focus, once I regroup with collective or the tribe or other people, I can be in deep and profound service. When I'm doing an IFS session with somebody, I'm not worried about my parts and my stuff. I'm totally in self and in service to that person. So again, there's healthy and unhealthy versions of it. And I don't want to discount the reality of people who are in the not self. And I don't want to say, oh, human design excuses that sort of not self behavior or cruel, unethical behavior. But we do have to bring in, as we discussed in the Sexuality Summit, there's different types of caring too. This can be the other issue. So let's say if you're really a collective stream person and you're the soup kitchen worker, you care about what's happening in Palestine, even though you live in Virginia, you're really caring about the collective all the time. It may look narcissistic if you have a client who, say, got no collective channel activation and a bunch of individual stuff, and maybe a few tribal things, and they care about their self-development and maybe a little bit about their tribe. And they
may not care nothing about their tribe.
Or they might not. They might not have a lot of tribal activations, if any. So the individual stream is like, I'm going to develop myself, and I'm going to support you in developing yourself. Yep. But I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to coddle you. See, the tribe takes care of its own. If you're let's say you have a mental illness, or you're developmentally delayed, or you're elderly and you just can't function, they're going to take care of you. The individual is like, is it worth me investing care in you or not? If I'm caring for you, are you going to lift yourself up and develop yourself, or is it just going to be me dragging you along? And if it's just going to be me dragging you along, I'm not interested. Now, if you're dying in the street as someone with individual activations, I will come and save your life. But if you just want to say, live at my house and never get a job and just live rent-free off of my work, that's not going to happen. But the tribe, if you're kind of dysfunctional, the tribe is like tolerating some of that because that's the tribal contract. Meanwhile, like our friend who just stayed with us, she has the entire collective line on the caring side, both of the lines activated. And all she talks about is, water rights and this and that. Yeah. Her mother used to be furious at her because, why don't you come home for Christmas? Well, she's like at soup kitchens. So her caring is collectively oriented. Is she bad because she'd rather go to the soup kitchen than sit with her tribe on Christmas Eve? Who's to say? We can't say she's bad if that's what she's designed to do. So there can be misunderstandings just because we have our own filter, and certain things can seem maybe selfish. But from her perspective, it's totally selfless because she's wanting to clear water for the whole planet. She's wanting to feed everyone on the planet, right? Whereas if you don't have those collective activations, you're not that interested.
Nope.
And that's okay. It's really okay.
And a lot of the narcissistic energy is the opposite of the collective energy.
Straight
individuals that came here to literally work on their individual self. So they're getting, it's a huge confusion going on inside of their system. So I like to tell people, instead of saying, oh, it's a bad thing to be this narcissist, I like to always tell people why you're the narcissist. Why this is the reason why you have that energy. That's the beauty of this human design. This is the reason why you're being labeled as narcissistic, and why. And once people see that that's what's going on with them, they always shift it towards the positive. It's just something clicks. I don't know what that little click is, but it's them knowing that they're supposed to be narcissistic. Because you have to, so remember that I accept you. When I say I accept you, it means I accept you at whatever it is that you feel that you are. Because that's the only way that we can enter into true healing. We have to accept the fact that we are kind of jacked up. You have to just say it because we have certain things that may be off. So once you accept that your 3D version is a little off, now you let down the guards to actually allow that higher self energy to flow in. You surrender. You say, okay, I'm not all knowing, all God right now. I do have certain detriments with this physical thing. So helping people to accept it, to accept their energy for what it is the first step.
Yeah,
without judgment, just, total acceptance of what their energy is. Like these pedophile energies. I've been working on this whole, this past couple of weeks, just really forgiving that crazy pedophile energy, you know, and that sex trafficking energy, just totally forgiving these people. I'm talking about envisioning them getting caught, but then totally getting let go into like a safe community to where they can get therapy.
They're on special islands.
On special island now, where they can get therapy and get treated and things like that, as opposed to, yeah, catch them, cut their neck off, and get them off of our planet.
And actually, just as a side note, you know, for the people who are focused on revenge, it's totally understandable. I don't have any judgment on it. I totally get it. But the way the demon realm works, that actually is going to delay the resolution of this profound sickness that's like preying on us, because the demons already believe that there's no forgiveness for them. They already believe that they can't go to the light, that they can't go to source, that they're like basically, you know, what is the word? Just hopelessly evil,
yeah.
And that they'll never be able to change. So the more they hear this stuff about retribution and punishment and, you know, all these sorts of things, it just basically makes them dig their heels in more. So remember, in human design, in IFS, you think of your managers and firefighters, they're on a boat, right? And if the firefighters start pedaling really fast, the managers are going to have to equal them to keep your boat balanced. So it's a similar type of thing. The more that we're saying retribution, punishment, you know, flail them, put them, burn them on the stake and all
lock
that,
them under the
it's
jail.
just going to give them more impetus to do what they're doing. But it's totally understandable. There's no judgment of the people who feel that way. But I want to just make another note about the narcissism thing and the individual channels. The tricky thing, if you're a therapist, Mignon, for someone who has these channels, these individual channels, those channels are deaf. They're deaf. What does that mean? The individual is designed not to hear you and not to pay attention. Why? Because they are here to evolve us, to do something different, to do their particular thing. So there's a deafness that's built in.
That's why they don't hear you. That's why it feels like the narcissistic people don't hear you.
And again, can't say this enough, there is the healthy self-focus, I'm not even going to call it narcissistic, that's following your design and you just got a lot of individual stuff going on.
But just to piggyback on that real fast,
okay.
It's deaf, but it's also acoustic.
Yeah, it's listening, and like I have quite a few of these activations. So like Kayvon will be talking to me about stuff, and a certain point will happen in the conversation. I'm like, this is not really applicable to me. I can tell when he's in his collective channel, and I'm like, okay, so he's expressing this, but my hearing just kind of tweaks. I'm like, yeah.
I know when that's happening.
You can feel it. And I'm like, this is not really for me. But, you know, he wants to express, it's okay. And fortunately, our companionship channel is the 1858, which is one of the collective channels. So I get it. You know, I can get down with talking about saving the world. But I also really care about saving Michelle, because the more I save and develop Michelle, the more I can save the world, right? The world is just me expressed outwardly. So yeah, then there's also this other issue, and there's a lot of stuff about this on the internet, the kind of evil narcissists, right? And all these support groups for recovering from narcissistic abuse. And that's real. I'm not trying to dismiss any of that. I had to go through a lot of that because I went through a lot of emotional incest with my mom, who's a 5'1", can be very narcissistic. Her 1 is in the back. She's blind to it. And she was just severely, severely abused as a child. So I get it, right? And all that stuff is still valid, and people have to go through that. But remember, because there are certain people who, again, when they're healthy, are naturally more self-focused, the way to be immune to the negative ones who are in the not self and narcissistic and possibly abusive is to follow your strategy and authority. Because if you're following your strategy and authority, they can't pull you in. The only way they pull you in is with not self stuff. So just being aware of that. So on the one hand, I don't want to dismiss very ugly stuff that's happening. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want anyone to feel afraid of that. And if you're really listening to your higher self, you're going to be fine. And remember, for you 3s, following your strategy and authority doesn't mean you won't have mistakes happen. It just means that you'll experience the correct mistakes for you.
Yes.
Lots of fun.
Oh, yes.
Very helpful. Thanks so much.
Oh, good. Thanks for your feedback.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question.
Kelly asked earlier about, are we going to have the lecture from Margarita's webinar, a seminar
Oh, I think
for the school. We don't actually have a copy of the video. I can talk to her because that might be a good bonus for us to offer. Because
I know she was selling it though, right?
yeah, but since we did it, for free, I think she would give us the video if we agree to just use it in the school.
Oh yeah, for the school.
We just really go in depth. So especially if you guys have watched the 2 videos on relationships and human design. So the one that's about the channels, like electromagnetic, companionship. Kelly said it was awesome. Thank you, Kelly. And you've also watched the video about the 9 centers and what happens in relationships. So like the example, Kayvon and I, our connection chart is called a 6-3. That means we have 6 defined centers when we come together and 3 undefined centers. So for us, our relationship has 3 open doors or windows that naturally is going to be open to other energies. Whereas somebody like Dr. Phil, who I spoke about in the summit, he's got all 9 centers defined all by himself. So for him, whoever he's in a relationship with, even if he's in a relationship with a reflector with 0 definition of centers, his relationships are all going to be 9 and 0. And Ra calls that no place to go.
Mm-hmm. Straight monogamy.
There's no room for open. And it's not even just sexual monogamy, just even like energetically. So when he and his intimate partner or whoever he's hanging around, it's kind of like a twosome. There's not really room for other people involved. Whereas Kayvon and I, we've got the crown, the mind, and the will center open. And we've constantly got people visiting us. We have people staying at our house all the time. We've got lots of friends. We also are in an all the way open relationship because we decided that was right for us. But, if you have a relationship like that and you don't want to be sexually open, maybe just considering being sort of emotionally more open, socially more open, so that those undefined centers can get the stimulation that your partnership, the creature you 2 create together, does not provide. So what we talked about in the summit was just a really kind of advanced stuff about the different channels in the sexual side and the caring side, and just really making note for people that the sexual, hot, emotional energy is on a totally different side of the chart than the cool, logical, survival, caring energy of the spleen. And so for a lasting relationship, you really need stuff happening on the caring side to have any continuity. So yeah, I could get into a whole other discussion of that, but we'll talk to Margarita and hopefully she'll allow us to add it, because I especially with Mignon's question, I feel like the information in that is super helpful. I was super excited about it because it just blows, it cleared up so much in my mind, so much confusion, and it just helped me drop just a whole other layer of judgment about, how people have sex, how people care. Some people care about certain things and some people just don't give a rat's butt about it, and it's okay. So we gotta be careful about homogenizing caring.
Yes, I think that was like the biggest lesson from that is homogenizing caring, because everybody, this is so deep with me because I have so much caring. I have like 30 activations on the caring side. Mm-hmm. So throughout my life, I was always blowing my mind like, why isn't nobody caring about anything? It seemed like, it's like, all right, you see people getting abused in the streets and nobody cares. The police shooting people, nobody cares. It was like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And it's because I have a billion caring channels, and most of the people, I was around people who had more of that sexual energy side, or more just tribal, or more tribal stuff, and they're more close knit. And like, look, if it's not happening in my immediate family, then I can't do anything about it. So
and here's the rub.
It was very confusing, not knowing about that.
Those of us who have the collective channel, if you have a lot of activations there, you're naturally going to be focused there a lot, but it doesn't mean you're going to have the energy to actually do anything. So people around you can be like, oh my God, will they stop talking about this? They're not going to go and stop the war in Gaza. So why are you talking about it all the time? Because they might be tribal. And if it's not their tribe at war, it's just not their business, they feel. Or they might be super individual. Like I bet that Ayn Rand lady has probably got a lot of individual activations. If you guys don't know about her, she just, she wrote books that were a lot about kind of like self-determination and breaking off from the herd. And some people felt like ethically she was wrong for that, but then other people really like her philosophy. So again, she was trying to homogenize and say everybody should be like me, in a sense, because her novels were kind of like publicity for this perspective. But if you're super tribal, you can't behave that way even if you want to. It's not in you. If you're super tribal, remember the tribe is all about like the bargains of getting the ego to do the work for the group. And it's not really about your personal satisfaction. It's about keeping the tribe safe and keeping the tribe going for generations to come. So like, for example, sexually, sex is part of the bargain in the tribe, but like you being able to try some like freaky experimental stuff, like if you're super individual or you have collective sexual stuff, that's not part of the tribe's contract. So like you see like some of these honor killings and stuff like that, some of that is terrible.
Getting shunned from the tribe, kicked out.
Sometimes it's people who were raped and they really didn't want the attention. But sometimes it's like somebody's in love with somebody who's politically incorrect and the tribe shuns them for it, but they're not really designed to follow the tribal contracts. And here's the thing. We need that tribal energy because it's very grounded, it's very practical, right? But we also need the individual and collective stuff going on because without that, we wouldn't evolve. But when you look at the collective sexuality, so that's the sexuality that's experimental, it's the Kama Sutra, people who just want to try stuff for its own sake, not because they want to marry and have children with everyone they have sex with, right? If it weren't for those people with those activations, we would not evolve. But if those people set the rules of how to structure society and raise children, it would be a mess because that energy is not around to care for the children. Right? So we got to see that all these things are playing out and individual people are really sparked by certain things and not others, where other people are very opposite. It works itself out as a collective species, but each one of us is not designed to play all those things out. And I'm sure if you all look at your life, you'll see that. Like some people, they're just oriented a certain way. Some people aren't that experimental sexually. Some people are super experimental. And all of it is okay.
Confirmation. Oh yeah. Deep.
It is deep, man.
So
all right. Anybody else with any other questions or?
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Can I share something? So, I don't remember if you talked about Gate 59 in the webinar or.
Yes.
Okay, so Gate 59, I have Gate 59 and it just made everything make sense. And, I've heard Kayvon say a couple of times as well, whether you're 1 month old or whether you're 100 years old, your human design is your human design.
Yeah.
And I have Gate 59, which is like the sexual green light. And I experienced a lot of sexual trauma and sexual abuse because I had this sexual green light on from the time I was born. Mm-hmm. And I have, it's interesting because I have another friend that we've been talking a lot about human design, and she has the same thing, and she experienced sexual abuse as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's very common because this Gate 59, as I said in the seminar, if you have Gate 59, you can be standing in line at the grocery store, like trying to schedule in your mind how you're going to get home and get your children's homework done and get them bathed and fed before bedtime. Totally not a sexual vibe, but that gate is kind of pulsating that energy. It is the gate of sexuality. Other gates are sexual too, but it is the gate
It is the
of
master.
sexuality. And people who have it, you know what I'm talking about. And people around you who don't have it, we can feel it. Gate 59 can walk in a room and steal the show. We can really just like basically take over the room. But the problem is you can be in this non-sexual state where you're just like in your mind thinking about your children or getting the house work done. And someone can be in line behind you at the grocery store feeling that pulse and like, oh yeah, she wants me, she wants me. When you're not, you don't even know they're there. So remember, 5 is projection and seduction. 9 is completion.
Oh, yeah.
So this is seduction, projection of sexual energy, seducer, seduced, who's going to complete the act. The 59 can really do it. On the opposite side of that channel is the 6. The 6 will say yes or no. Am I going to accept the sperm or not accept the sperm? Am I going to accept the sex or not accept the sex? It's a gate that can say yes or no, right? That's the gate of conflict. If you have the whole channel, let me tell you, I don't like to really talk too much about people's individual charts when they're not here, but I know a lot of the people who were there in the summit for our sexuality talk, and a lot of them have 59-6.
Oh, yes.
And even more of them have gate 59. It's just an orientation that you can't get away from. And a lot of the people who are like very popular tantrikas and tantra instructors, they have the 59-6. It's a superpower because look, that's the only channel that connects the sacral to the emotions, the pleasure centers. It's the only channel that does that. And we're going to have to get Margarita to let us replay the thing because otherwise I'll spend another 3 hours here talking about it. So we'll work on getting you guys that as a bonus, and you can watch it in your own time. Okay, so I'll pause and give you guys a few beats to kind of go inside and see if there's anything else you want to discuss or ask, and then maybe invite you to kind of start a little internal thinking about anything you want to announce for the next module, dreaming work. Are we going to wait 2 weeks till the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. So just, kind of logistics announcement.
So I can get it.
We'll give 2 weeks. So there'll be no webinar next week. That'll be your week off. And then we'll start the following week with the lucid dreaming, out-of-body experience stuff. If for some reason with, breaks or reschedules, this ends up being over the 9 months, those of you on payment plans, you only pay the 9 payments. You don't have to pay extra if we go over because, like we had to reschedule. So this webinar is a week late. So that's set off the schedule. So just so you guys know. Everybody is going to get another reading with Kayvon on their dream rave. I cannot wait for you guys to get that. So that's coming up. So we'll be shifting focus.
So the focus we'll be shifting into is the focus of reality creation.
Yes.
So the deep thing about lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences and all of this stuff, it's fun to, be on the other side and to learn all of that and to, get into these like super heightened, like just extra perception type of like vibrations. But the real reason why I actually am doing this, and I wanted to share the knowledge about how to like have lucid dreams and exit the body, was because literally the only way that you can actually shapeshift your reality truly is by crossing that bridge, crossing that death bridge, and understanding that you don't die and connecting to the as above version of who you are. This whole time we've been learning about our so below, which is, I'm a 3-5 projector. She's a 6-3 manifested generator, 5-1 generators, 1-3, 4-1s. These are the so below aspects of who we are. This is the results realm. We don't create anything in this realm. We create everything from the inner realms. So the dream rave is literally your chart of your inner self. So this is going to be deep because this is a whole different aspect of yourself that is totally operating right now in your waking life, also is operating in your dreaming life. And when you get a grip on that, you gain way more control when it comes to just experiencing a life that you would like to experience. So, for example, the other day I had a lucid dream, and I created a portal and I went into like just another part of the town. And then I woke up that day from that lucid dream, and then I went out into the town. I drove out in my car and we went somewhere. So literally it's as above, so below. And when you cross this threshold, you start to live in the realm of that as above. And the more you have lucid dreams, the more OBEs you have, the stronger that as above, so below connection becomes. And the more and more you start to exhibit what most people call miracles. So you start to behave in a much, much more higher vibration. And most of you all, you can't understand how so when we have our sessions, my energy is, it's just, I'm a projector, but you can never tell by the way I do my human design sessions. It's as if I'm another being. I've left my body so many times, hundreds of times, to where every time I come back, I bring more of that with me. So this whole school is about you guys rising beyond the human design, rising beyond these lower forms of identifying ourselves. But before you can rise beyond all of this, you have to know it.
Yeah, that's the alchemy. Separation comes before conjunction. And we've got to understand who we are in the separateness to really facilitate the channeling of the wholeness, which is the higher self energy.
Yes. So, So, when I wasn't having this amount of an effect on my reality and people until I started having my OBEs and I started to come back from these higher frequencies, and it made me kind of view reality in a totally different way. And my life was completely changed when I lost my fear of death.
And so I gotta say, when we were sitting at the airport and we got this news about Kayvon's mom's dream about him dying, you gotta know we didn't feel any fear. Like, I was feeling like something was weird, but if his emotional response said we should get on the plane, I was willing to get on the plane. And it wasn't like, there wasn't like some scary, sweaty, like, oh my God, I could have died on that plane. There wasn't any fearfulness, because it's like, we kind of know that if we were to leave this body, we still exist, and you can just be shifting to other dimensions, parallel reality. So it's not like it's the end of us. Yeah. That's not to say that we discard this body or don't care for it or don't care for this reality. But it's just a different energy. It's like very sober and matter of fact. Yeah, it's a different kind of knowing, and it takes away a certain panic. Like, releasing the fear of death, of course, releases the fear of living, because a lot of our fear of living is about being afraid of dying, so we're afraid to live and take risks because we may get hurt or die.
Yes.
So, and I also just want to mention, this is my last webinar, so I kind of piggyback with Kayvon during the human design teaching, and now I've basically become a student with you guys. So going forward, if you want to start discussing this, please tag Kayvon. I'm still going to be admin. Like, I'm kind of backup throughout the whole school because I just have I have the admin activations and I can't get away from them. So I do admin. It's also a left angle thing, I think. But, so I will be there and I can help facilitate communication. But if you have questions and stuff, Kayvon is really your professor now. So it's been a pleasure, but I'm stepping back. And the webinars for this next segment will just be Kayvon. I'll be listening as a student along with you guys. Now, babe, do you want to introduce the reality checks, or do you want to wait till the next webinar?
Oh.
Because this could be kind of extra credit advanced.
Okay.
let people get an early start on it.
Okay. Well, I kind of explain it on the next one though.
Okay.
I explain it more because I don't want to talk for another. Like I want to be on this thing.
But it could be very quick. You want me to do it with my explanation gate?
Well,
And you can go more advanced?
so
The only reason is this can
'Cause
take
I
a
don't-
long time to set in. So I feel like if they've got an extra 2 weeks to practice.
yeah. Okay. So I guess I give you a little something, but I'm only gonna give you a little bit because I'm gonna talk about it. Like
Yeah.
I don't like. So just to let you guys know, I don't like to talk about the same thing over and over and over and over and over.
But remember,
goodness.
we're students and we need to talk about it.
I know. I'm trying to get better at this.
See, this is where the ones come in. We're detail oriented, step by step. Take it slowly.
So
I'm advocating for all us ones who need to hear it multiple times.
So the reality check. This is super duper important. And literally it's you guys been kind of halfway doing it though. So it's literally like the mindfulness bell. So you know how I tell you guys every hour on the hour, if you can, to create this mindfulness bell, to have this alarm going off so that you can ask yourself, how do you feel? This is how you perfect working your human design. I'm only giving you guys the things and the strategies that I personally use. And remember, I'm a 5. My vehicle is a 5. When it's time for me to deliver my messages, I deliver them as a 5. The 5 is the generalizer. We can take messages and we can generalize it so that everyone can kind of participate in it, so that everyone can utilize the information. So sometimes when we do one-on-ones, I'm giving you that one-on-one message. But when I'm in this mode, this is something that is for everyone, not for, if you think you're so extra professional and you don't need to do it. Because I don't normally say this, but I'm saying it now. For the people in our group who feel like they're extra professionals, if you have not had more OBEs and lucid dreams than me, then you are definitely not an extra professional. I've had hundreds, close to almost 1,000 lucid dreams, out-of-body experiences. So you can take this advice or you can waste your time. I would prefer for you not to waste your time and our time and your own money, because you guys pay for this stuff. So, this is you putting your energy up. It's like put up or shut up. So you put your energy up. So now it's time for you to actually utilize it, because this is one of the only schools that's taking people through such a detailed transformation. And every part of all of your cells are being covered. Yeah. So this is a very important opportunity.
Yeah, human design, by the way, it's about how the neutrinos flow through you. Yes. This is from the foundational level we're talking.
Yeah, so, and we've already have experienced miracles just following a dang on strategy and authority.
Yeah.
So anyway, this reality check, the mindfulness bells, it helps you to connect with certain innate parts of yourself. So the first thing you have to know is that this version of ourselves is a copy. You guys, everyone on this video right now, you are a copy of a very higher, more just activated version, or a higher version of yourself. Totally not in pain, totally not going through crazy aging, none of that. You have another part of yourself that's totally just there. And I like to call that, is literally sitting on the other side of the mirror. So when we practice reality checks, we're asking ourselves every hour on the hour, literally, am I dreaming? Now there's a physical movement to go with it. So there's different types of reality checks. I'll give you guys the one that I used. So what started to help me out when I first started to want to enter into these lucid dreams, first you have to realize that you're dreaming. So what I've learned was that you can kind of speak to I don't know if it's just a higher self or just these innate parts, but you can kind of speak to that part of yourself while you're awake. So every hour on the hour, I would ask myself, I would stop what I was doing and I would say, am I dreaming? And I would pinch my nose and then I would take a deep breath in through my nose. So you can pinch your nose and you notice no air. No air, right? So when you're in a dream, because your body is lying on the bed, totally in paralyzation mode, totally breathing, you'll notice in a dream, if you ask yourself, am I dreaming? And then you pinch your nose, you take a deep breath, nothing but air goes in. So if anybody's on this call right now and you pinch your nose and you take a breath and air goes through your nose, you are totally dreaming right now.
Let us know. Let us know.
Look, let us know you are like about to levitate.
So this is a habit we want to get deeply ingrained in our psyche, deep in the unconscious. So you're just constantly doing it. So that spontaneously in a dream, you might do this and have the air come in and realize, oh my gosh, I'm dreaming. Then you get lucid, and we'll get more into what happens then. Many of you have probably experienced this. The other one that I learned is about putting your hand through a wall or through another hand.
Through your hand. This is the good one.
Obviously in waking life, this isn't going to go through, but in a dream, your hand will go right through. But I also train myself. For me in dreams, it's always I put my hand through a wall or through the floor, and that's what woke me up. And then I became aware that I was dreaming, and then the dream will totally shift. And Yvonne will be talking a lot about that.
Yeah. So
the next modality.
So if you're walking, so there's three. You have you can do every hour on the hour. You pinch your nose and you say, am I dreaming? Pinch your nose, take a breath. If no air goes in, you say, okay, I'm not dreaming. Keep going about your business. What will happen is you do this over and over. It forms that habit. And eventually what happens is you're going to fall asleep and you're going to be walking around in your dream and the habit is going to activate. And something in you is going to ask, am I dreaming? And then you're going to pinch your nose. And when that air floods in everybody that I've done this with, that I've told about this, I did it with my brothers and just other friends. My brother did it and he pinched his nose and he said when that air went into his head, he went crazy. His energy was like, oh my God, because he was in a totally another room. This was the first time he ever had an out-of-body experience. He couldn't believe that his consciousness was alive and still going when his body was laying down in the bed. So even though we hear people talk about out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, and all of this, it is like until you have it, until you see it, and this is literally, we're going to be focusing on seeing our body. It's different than waking up in a dream. Seeing your body in the bed is different than waking up in a dream when you're somewhere off in the distance. Seeing your body is how we release the fear of death. Seeing it is something about seeing this little body laying there that just removes the fear of death, because you immediately understand that you're alive. That there is like, well, holy, what? I am not in that body, but I'm totally alive. What is going on? And then the adventure begins. But you have to do the preparatory work of actually doing the reality checks or walking, or the second one, you can try to push your hand through the hand.
Or just stick your hand through the nearest wall or piece of furniture or the floor.
Yep, and then your hand will like kind of fade into the wall in the dreams.
Yeah, that's always how I woke up.
Yeah, that's an actual good one, because nowadays I have a different one that I do. I don't have to. So, and just to let you know, I don't use any reality checks anymore. I've had so many to where literally I just know that I'm in it.
Yeah, these are like training wheels, so it's not something dogmatic you have to do forever. This is just getting you in the habit of questioning, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Because what happens in the dream realm is that doesn't get activated, so we just accept and we don't wake up. We just accept things that are happening, or we're like in fear mode or something.
Mm-hmm.
This allows you to question, getting in that habit so that you will question and awaken.
Yes. So, and this is also more in the now moment work.
Yeah.
This is also, so when you do your reality checks, you ask yourself, how do I feel? So you add both. Am I dreaming? How do I feel? And it can, you know, you can, what we say, grow 2 flowers with 1 seed.
Yeah.
You know,
that's from Kaveen.
Yeah, we don't do the 2 birds with 1 stone anymore. We're not damaging. We're not killing the birds.
Stay positive.
Staying positive. We're growing 2 flowers with 1 seed now. So yeah, the reality checks. That's super important. So you guys, that's the little head start.
And you might as well start with the dream journal. Keep it next to your bed. We bought this little light for Kayvon. You can get it on Amazon. It clips on your notebook. Yeah, we'll show them on the next one. Or maybe I'll put the link up. I'm thinking of getting one for me too, because it allows you to turn the light on if you were to wake up in the middle of the night without putting on bright lights. But it's sufficient light that you can write in your journal, or say if you're sleeping with your partner, it won't disturb them. But remember, when you first wake up in the morning, if you have the opportunity to not wake up to an alarm, I really strongly recommend that. But for those of you who have to do the alarm, that's okay. You know, you might have certain responsibilities.
Right, pause. Your body will naturally wake itself up.
Yeah.
Your body can naturally set its own alarm. And when you think about it, how many times you set that alarm and you woke up 5 minutes before the alarm went off? Super annoying. You can do that permanently. You don't need an alarm. You never need an alarm. But
unless you've got like sleep issues that make you like exhausted, and then if the alarm's not on. So when you first wake up, this is why it's preferable to not do it with an alarm. But if you have to have the alarm, just like turn the alarm off with your hand and stay as still as humanly possible. And go back into the dream realm and soak up as much detail as you can. Even if it's just a feeling, a word, a face, a location. And then immediately, the only reason you're moving is to grab your notebook and start writing right away. I am working at practicing what I preach. Sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes what's been happening lately is I'll wake up in the middle of the night with a dream that's so vivid, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to forget that crazy stuff. And then I have other dreams, and I totally forget it. So if you're saying that to yourself, don't believe that lie. Write it down. This helps with dream recall. This is like a muscle that you can get stronger. I'm really good at the dream recall. I'm not as good as having lucid dreams, but I'm good at recalling dreams. Now, here's the other thing. And we're going to always balance it. We're not polarizing. For some, if not many people, the ganja makes it harder to remember your dreams. So if you are somebody who uses cannabis, maybe avoid smoking it late at night, or maybe try a cannabis fast for a couple weeks and see if that helps you recall your dreams. Now, I know Kayvon has never... He's conquered that. It doesn't bother him. Although you do notice if you smoke late at night.
But put it like this.
It can be conquered, but for many of us, it makes a huge difference. I know that if I like plant medicines in general, they're really.
Yeah, it stimulates a whole lot of. It's just if you smoke too soon. The trick here is if you smoke too soon. Before going to bed, it's like the equivalent of the smoky energy still kind of being in your system, and when you wake up from that, it's kind of still there. You need time for that energy to kind of dissipate and to kind of settle into your system. If you smoke too soon before going to bed, literally you're just gonna leave. You're gonna wake up in smoke, and just imagine trying to write something down, but when it's super foggy. So, but what I've learned was through willpower,
sheer determination, you can do anything. There is no, you have to do this before that. And no, it's you.
it depends on you. I have broken every single thing that somebody said that they say you're not supposed to eat meat or whatever, and you won't get, you won't be that enlightened, or it pulls your energy down. No. No.
Well, someone like Kayvon, like, good luck getting his energy down, regardless of what he's eating. He's so open, and he has a sixth brain. This dude is super aloof, man. You just don't know. Sometimes I'm like, Kayvon, Earth, we're on Earth. Remember us here on Earth?
I can be so, oh my God.
So everyone's different, and we don't want to be dogmatic. And of course, there's no judgment if you engage in plant medicines. I'm a fan. I just know in my experience, when I go on a hiatus, I'm a lot more clear. I have a lot more dream recall, and I believe more dream activity, period. So that's me. And that might be because of a certain configuration. Maybe it has to do with certain gates that we have activated or don't, etc. But if you use a lot of ganja, just consider, maybe doing a fast for a while and see if it makes a difference. And maybe it won't for you.
I feel like, just to be real with you, it will make a difference. Like I say, when I don't smoke, I'm going to remember. I definitely feel I can easily remember my dreams. When I do smoke, it's harder. But like I say, you just would have to apply more willpower, meaning you have to be more focused.
And this includes alcohol also. This includes,
anything.
Unless you're a nighttime eater, then I don't actually know, because I haven't discussed this with a nighttime eater that I'm aware of. It may not matter if you eat close to your bedtime, because you can digest at night. Many people, I'm not sure if that's really an issue with me. For some people, like for example, Kayvon is a daytime eater. He needs the sun to digest properly. So someone like him, it might not be advisable to eat a lot before you go to sleep. So it's not just, it's stimulants, and adding extra stuff to the system can create a load that makes it more challenging.
Yes, I found having too much food in my system is the same equivalent as if I smoke something.
Or foods that go against your PHS, your designed diet. Like, I definitely know I don't digest carbs well. I'm still in denial about it because I love my carbs, but I gotta admit, eating a lot of carbs close to bed, it's just unsettling. So the more clear you can be, the better. So those are just some pointers. But I'm super excited for this part. I'm excited to shift into student mode. Kayvon is great. You're in good hands. So the first webinar in 2 weeks' time is going to be about about lucid dreaming. And then do you talk about OBEs in that one as well? I think you do OBEs on the second one.
I think so too.
So anyway, there's 4 webinars. They're all live. And the reason we do them all live in this one is because we really want to make sure that your personal issues are addressed, or your personal challenges. With the human design, it's the same information for every class, so we can afford to do pre-recorded ones. But with this, it's going to be real intimate. This is real challenging. It's also really fun. So the first 2 webinars will be more lectures and teaching. And the second 2 is what we call the astral travel field trips, where we all get together and astral travel together in real time under Kayvon's guidance. And please, I'll send out the dates and mark it out on the calendars. We'll try to stick with it. Please clear your schedule and be on there live. It still works if you can't be there with us live. I know some of you are like overseas and it's crazy. But if you can be there live, it's awesome, because Kayvon takes us on an astral field trip while we're still awake. So you're not lucid dreaming, you're in deep meditation, and then we come back and have this shared experience.
Yes. And, where I take you guys is a very important place. So
yeah, it's exciting.
It's important. It's just special when it's all of us there, because the more you have people focusing on a specific place or an event, the more concrete we make it, the more it just happens. So I'm definitely excited about it.
What I love about this, as somebody who's not as adept as Kayvon, so I've been working at like lucid dreams and OBEs for a long time, like consciously at least 15 years. And I can count on one hand the OBEs I've had on purpose. Kayvon is just, it's like more natural to him. So as somebody who...
I had one today. I had an OBE today.
Yeah, it's like nothing. So as someone who for whom this is challenging, I just really want to encourage you to come to those live things, because the astral travel field trips are going to give you so much confidence because you're awake, so it's easy to remember. And then what happens is inevitably a lot of us are seeing the same things. So we're in a different density. It is physical, but it's not this dense, like this dense physicality. We're in a location that is really existing. It's a real place.
Yes.
So it gives you that confidence and kind of the validation, like, okay, you're going to start to see how a lot of stuff that's filtering through you, even in waking life, that you maybe dismiss as your imagination, is real stuff that you're tapping into. So that's my plug. And Philip says, thank you to me for all the gifts I gave to you guys. Thank you, yes. Philip. I appreciate that. It was really great. You guys are awesome. I'm so excited to work with you all. It's really been a pleasure. So yeah, I will be around for admin, and I'll still be the one sending all the emails and, working with, just making sure that things are running smoothly in the group. But I am now shifting into student mode under the excellent guidance of Professor Kayvon.
Yes, yes.
So thank you everyone for being here on the live call. Thanks for your questions and your attention and for caring and for doing the work. Oh, Kelly had asked about the human design video. So when we send out the recording of this, I will send out the links to all the human design videos so you can make sure. So there were 4 that were pre-recorded, and there were 2, including today, that were the live Q&As. So there's actually a total of 6 for the human design modality. And Serge says, amazing session today, as usual. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, Serge.
Yes.
In the middle of the night.
Thank you.
In Europe. He's still here.
Appreciate
and
you.
And you East Coasters, thank you for staying up late. Appreciate you all.
Yes. Yeah, we got people from all over the world up in here. I'm loving this. I am so loving this. We are like totally like lighting up the planet. And just to let you know, you guys, each and every one of you guys represent at least one solar system. And that means all of the stars, all of the planets. So when you advance your entire solar system, they feel it. They feel the advancement and the upliftment and the inspiration and the correction. So we are changing worlds with the work that we're doing here. So thank you all. I appreciate you all. And I just want you to have a great night.
And thanks to you, Chris, also for being here. Chris says thanks so much. Thank you for being on the call, Chris. Azra says thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, babe.
much
Thanks
love.
for being here. All right, you guys. So 2 weeks to start practicing your reality checks. I really encourage you to do it. This is a powerful skill, and the sooner you get in the habit. I know sometimes the electronics can be annoying. If you don't care for that, find some other way. Maybe you can put reality checks, Post-it notes around your house or on your car
That'd
dashboard.
Be cool, yeah.
It's okay. We know not everybody's into electronics. I personally have a weird relationship with it, but
Am I dreaming? And Loretta?
Lori says, thanks, Michelle. Happy share. I had improvised your IFS to chat with my ego for the past 2 weeks. Good.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yes.
Application is what we're here for. So there's a lot of theory we're discussing, and that's great, but this is only powerful if you apply it. So thanks, Lori. I'm very happy to hear that news. A+.
A+.
Teacher's pet.
Golden star.
Yeah, you guys have all been great though. This is a great group. It's just so exciting for us
we really
to
love
work
you guys.
in this capacity. So.
All right.
Okay.
So good night and see you later.
Thank you, everybody.